What's up, everyone? Playing Supreme Vintage Cube Draft today. So this is the format that they put on Magic Online after Vintage Cube. Some of you have probably played it, but basically it is like Sealed. It's not really a draft because there's no other players at the table. You basically get to open 18 packs, and you get to take 2 cards from each pack. So it's an interesting format. The gameplay, I would say, is a little repetitive because a lot of the decks tend to be the same. But I've played maybe like 15 of these, and I feel pretty good about the format. So I wanted to just record one today and talk about kind of my strategy for the format. And the draft portion, it's actually pretty easy. Like, there's some cards you cannot pass, like Moxen or any other Power 9. You kind of just take those automatically. But then you have a little bit of flexibility. I think mostly the decks are just blue-based, like almost every deck. So I'll talk about that a little bit, but with this pack, I think Snapcaster is the best card to go along with the Mox Pearl. So the way my decks have played out mostly is I'm just trying to get as much fast mana as I can, trying to get as much Power 9 as I can. Ancestral Recall, Time Walk, those are some of the best cards. And then the way you can win the game, you can either play a control strategy and just kind of outcard your opponent, maybe play some discard spells, some counter spells, and then just beat them down with like a Snapcaster Mage, or maybe resolve a 6-drop like a Consecrated Sphinx. And then the other strategy, the dominant strategy, is Storm combo or Eldrazi combo, just because you can get so much mana in this format. And then also the artifact deck is really strong and really powerful. So we'll see kind of which archetype we get pushed into. You don't have a lot of control over that because you do only get to see about half of the entire cube if you take 18 times the 15 cards in each pack. It's about half of the cube, I believe. So let's see what's in this pack. Repeal is actually a surprisingly strong card in the cube, just because it does a few things. It kills Urza Saga tokens, and it's good in Storm, and it's blue interaction, which is kind of hard to come by, and it's instant speed, which is really good because you always have counter spells. So I probably want to take that here, and then looking at the rest of the pack is pretty weak, so I think I will take a land as well. And Tropical Island, I think, is one of the weaker lands. It's really only good with Oko, but then I actually like Badlands a lot because I think Grixis is like the best control deck, so I'm going to take Badlands to start. I think Uro is generally too slow for this format, and this pack really doesn't have any cards that I think are playable in the control decks. Spell Pierce is okay, but it's very replaceable. Every deck has lots of mana, so your window to use this card is kind of small. I still think it's probably the best to pick up here. And then my second card, I haven't really played Heartbeat of Spring combo. I think it's a little bit weak just because of the prevalence of counterspells in the cube. You're basically always playing against decks that have 3 or 4 counterspells. And so I think combo is tier 2 in this format, but I honestly don't have a lot of practice with it. So the lands are also pretty weak here, but I think I will just take Taiga, and it's possible to end up in Temur. It's a reasonable archetype, although I don't go into it too often. So I opened a Mox, so just take the Mox. Don't really need to even look at the rest of the pack when you open one. And now Daretti is one of the cards that pays you off for being Grixis. It's a pretty strong controlling card. Walking Ballista is pretty good. It combos with Mana Drain, which you almost always want to play. And it just combos with all of the fast artifact mana. And then Ponder and Muldrifter are just like decent card draw spells, which you want a good amount of. I would take those before Expressive Iteration. I really want to try to limit the number of non-blue spells in my deck, just because your mana tends to not be great in this format. So this is actually a pretty tough pick, and being this early on, I think I want to pass the Daretti. because I don't know if I'll end up Grixis yet. I think I'll just start by taking the Ponder. So here's a fetch land. You really want the blue fetch lands because most of your basics are going to be islands most of the time. And now we see Ragavan, which is a really strong turn 1 play. And that's one of the biggest differences in this format to regular Vintage Cube is if you don't have a good turn 1 play, you're going to be really far behind. Like if you don't play down a threat like Ragavan, or if you don't hold up a counterspell, or you don't play like a Thoughtseize, there's a decent chance you just get buried on turn 2. Like it's pretty common for your opponent to have access to 4 mana on turn 2, or they can just do ridiculous things very fast. So as far as threats go, I do like Ragavan. And this is early in the draft, and I do have some red duels already and a Mox Ruby. So I can definitely cast Ragavan, so I'm going to take that. I don't value Splinter Twin combo that highly. We are seeing the Deceiver Exarch, which is an okay card. I prefer to play the combo. Sorry, I prefer to play the controlling decks that just win with little creatures like Snapcaster or Ragavan. I think it's more robust. It's harder to disrupt that strategy than a Splinter Twin combo, which is a little fragile. So the card I like out of this pack is Flooded Strand. I also don't like Sneak Attack for the same reason I don't like Splinter Twin combo. The combo decks I've seen that are the best are Storm. So here's another strong dorky creature, Thieving Skydiver. It almost always has a target to get, and it's a blue card. You can pitch it to Force of Will. This card really overperforms. Looking at the rest of the pack, I don't love Oracle of Moldiah in this format just because these decks tend to play 12 or 13 lands, so you actually just have so many Moxen and stuff that you don't hit off Oracle that often, and there's just better 4-drops. The decks also have access to so much card draw, like draw 7s, Ancestral Recall, that Oracle is kind of like a slow card draw spell. So I'm definitely taking Skydiver. And then Strip Mine has been okay in the format. There is actually like a red-green mana denial deck that has Strip Mine, has Ramunap Excavator to recur the Strip Mine, has a bunch of artifact removal to destroy mana on the opponent's side. That deck is okay. I think it's also tier 2. I think it's just not as good as blue, but I would not fault someone for going into that. There's really not a good card to take out of this pack. I think Emry's a little weak. Some people do play it. It's a combo card. Like, you can play it in combo. I think I do just want to take the Strip Mine. It could be good against like an opposing Shelldock or something like that. So here's Mana Crypt. This is basically Power 9. You basically never pass this. Steam Vents is really good. It goes with my Flooded Strand and will help me with my turn 1 Ragavan that I'm trying to do. Here's the Shelldock that I mentioned. I think it's okay. In the format, I don't think that it's like a must-play card. Like I said, you really need to do things on turn 1 and turn 2 in this format, so Shelldock is really a liability. Like having your colored mana come into play tapped, you really need to play it later in the game. And then Force of Negation I really like. Try not to pass that card. Just, like, I've won plenty of games by countering a turn 1 Tinker with Force of Negation and just the opponent scooping on the spot. Like, Force of Will, Force of Negation are really strong in the format. But just given what I have so far, I think Steam Vents is really important. There's no guarantee that I'm going to see the Volcanic Island. You really don't get to see that many cards in this draft. So I want to make sure that I can play this Ragavan on turn 1. And then this is going to enable me to pick up some other red threats that I like. We'll see if we open them. Here's Consecrated Sphinx. I think it's a pretty decent threat. The Signets are okay in the format. They're really for the artifact deck, and I'm not sure if we are the artifact deck. And there's Thirst for Discovery, which is kind of a mediocre draw spell. There's also Kozilek. We're not looking like a deck that casts Eldrazi. We could try to go that direction, like if I could take the Signet and Kozilek, and then maybe if we get Academy Ruins and we get lucky and open more Moxen, then we can have a big mana deck, but with the spells we have so far, we're looking like a blue-red control deck. So I think I want to just stay safe and just take the Sphinx. And then I think I could take Thirst for Discovery or Azorius Signet. I think Magda is a little weak. Creeping Tar Pit is kind of a consideration, but it's not clear that I'm going to play black yet. I also have not loved the creature lands that come into play tapped. So I'll take the Thirst for Discovery. We don't have counterspells yet, but if we do get some, it's going to become good. So here's another red threat that I was talking about, Layla. This one's really strong. Just having haste and being able to attack down planeswalkers like Jace the Mind Sculptor and just the card advantage that it brings. This card's really strong. So I'm definitely going to take that. And now we have a couple aggressive, proactive threats, and I'm just going to want to pick up like counter spells and disruption to kind of back those cards up. There is a Scalding Tarn, which will be really good. It can get Steam Vents and Badlands, because I am still looking out for some discard spells in black to take. And looking at the rest of these cards, they're pretty weak. Phantasmal Image is not great in this deck. It doesn't work with my 2 legendary creatures, and it's just not proactive. You have to wait for your opponent to do something. I think the Titans are pretty weak and slow. I haven't really played one yet. So I think I'll just take the land. And now this is the part of the draft where I start looking at my playables and seeing how much mana I can continue to take. So if I count up these cards here on the left, I have 9 mana sources out of my 18 cards total. So I have 9 spells right now. And as you can see, I'm on booster number 10. So I have this pack, and then I have 8 more after. So that's 18 cards. So 18 plus the 9 spells I already have, that's 27. So that's the maximum amount of spells I'm going to be able to get. If I don't take any more lands throughout the rest of this draft, I'll have 27 spells. And so, of course, I'm trying to get to like somewhere around 23 spells, just to have a good balance of lands and artifact mana and spells in my deck. So that does actually become important in this draft, because you just don't get that many cards to get to take so many lands. But anyways, we open Mox Jet. That's really good. It's going to be on color if we end up playing black. Here's Oko, and it's possible I can play it. I have Ragavan to make green mana. I have Taiga and Scalding Tarn, so that's not the worst thing in the world. The considerations here are pretty much Oko and Glenelendra Archmage. The Archmage is really good against combo and control. It's actually good against the creature decks too, because it can block twice. It's actually probably just one of the best 4-drops. So I think that's going to be my pickup besides Oko, just because it keeps me in blue. If it's early in the draft, I'm probably going to take Oko and then just try to go down the green route. But at this point, I want to take the blue card. Now here are some strong cards that I like to play. Brazen Borrower and Click, fairly similar, and I like both of them in the control decks. Anything that lets you play at instant speed and also disrupt the opponent, that's really strong in blue. It also combos with your counterspells. You really often have a few counterspells in these decks. It's kind of weird that I haven't seen any yet. There's also Teferi Time Raveler, which is good for kind of the same reasons. All your opponents are going to have counterspells, so this card just shuts all of them off. I think Teferi is really like the only reason to play white in this whole format, for the most part. Fractured Identity is okay. Swords to Plowshares is okay. I think this is really the best white card. So looking at my mana, I mean, I could play Teferi if I really wanted to. I have Mox Pearl and I have Flooded Strand, but the mana is really not there yet. There's also Volcanic Island, but I picked up the Steam Vents, so I don't really need it. And then there's also Yogwill, which I think is a great card in the format, especially if you have Time Walk. And it goes well with some other cards too, like Discard Spells and Ancestral Recall, but I actually don't have those cards yet, so I don't want to take the risk to take the Yogwill. I think the easiest and safest thing for me to do is just take Brazen Borrower and Click, and just continue along this like aggro control route that I'm on right now. and I'll be hoping to get some counter spells and maybe a couple burn spells to go along with them. So looking at this pack, there's Venser, which goes great with these 2 flash creatures I picked up. I'll definitely be taking that. And then my second pick, I have some flexibility. Breeding Pool. If I had not seen Oko already, this Breeding Pool would be a decent pickup because I have 2 fetch lands that can get it, but now that I've passed Oko, there's really not any green cards that I want to play left in the cube, actually. I could take Godless Shrine because Flooded Strand can fetch it. Incinerate, I think, is a pretty mediocre burn spell. I really want to get the 1 mana ones. I want to get Lightning Bolt. And there's a new one that they printed that does 6 damage. If you have Delirium, I forget the name, but that one's really good. And I'm not looking like a Brain Freeze deck, so I don't want to take that. I'm just trying to think if I'm forgetting a green card that I want to play. I don't think so. This pack is not great. We're not really a Time Spiral deck. Inkwell Leviathan is a decent card to speculate on because if I get the Tinker, I can play Tinker in this deck. I have 4 artifacts and I have Ragavan that makes artifacts. And then I think Inkwell Leviathan is one of the best Tinker targets. It's really hard to remove. And then Dark Slick Shores, this will be really nice if I pick up some discard spells, which I'm trying to do. I think that's the best thing I can do out of this pack. I don't want to play these red spells. I can't play double red spells. My mana just won't support it. And yeah, the other ones are just not worth taking. So I'll take the land and the Inkwell. Okay, so this is pretty easy. Mox Sapphire is amazing. Black Lotus. This is actually not a great Black Lotus deck. It's really it's good with Lelia. It's good with Glenelendra Archmage. It's okay with Vandalion Click. Turn 1 Click is kind of good. But yeah, we're going to need some more 4 and 5 mana threats to really make the Lotus good. Or maybe like a Time Twister. But there's really not a discussion of what to take here. Lightning Bolt would be fine. So here's the Narset, which is great in this format. Almost every other deck is playing multiple card draw spells. And if I get Time Twister, that's just a great combo. Even Wheel of Fortune I could play at this point, so Narset is a card that I'll just never pass. It's at the point where I can't really take lands anymore. I have so much mana that, yeah, I don't think I get to take any more mana for the rest of the draft. So I can take Brainstorm. It's pretty good in my deck. I have 2 fetch lands. Or I could take Ashiok for a threat. I don't think Fractured Identity is as strong in this cube as in actual Vintage draft. It's just too reactive. It's kind of hard to cast. It's slow. It's easily countered. It's still okay, obviously, but it's not like the bomb that it is in the slower Vintage cube format. Burst Lightning is a little bit weak, but I might just want to take it anyways over the Brainstorm. I want to have at least 1 burn spell, but I think I can keep waiting just a little bit. So yeah, I'm getting into an awkward position now where I'm going to have a lot of mana in my deck, basically. And I'm missing a few action cards. But even so, I still don't really think I can pass this Mox. Maybe I can, actually. The thing is that this pack is actually really weak, is the problem. I might actually have to take Reanimate, which I don't normally play. But I have 16 playables, and I'm going to get 6 more cards for the whole draft, so that's going to be 22 spells. Might have to actually just take the Lodestone Golem. It looks okay in my deck. And then the other card I can take, I think the Reanimate is just kind of weak. I'll just take the Mox Emerald. I'm kind of getting punished for taking some of these lands early. So now here's 2 controlling cards, Thoughtseize and Counterspell. Both will be pretty good in my deck. I am actually looking for some more win conditions, but these cards are perfect, and I think I'm happy to take them. Now here's the last pack. We get Time Walk, which is really great to see. Automatically take that card, and then the final card I want to take, I think we got there on the Black Splash. I have a decent amount of black lands, and Mind Twist is really good in this deck. I have an absurd amount of artifact mana. If I didn't take Mind Twist, I would want like Fallen Shinobi, but I think I'm doing okay on win conditions actually. Got a few creatures. I'm definitely light on them, but Shinobi would be good. I have some really nice cards to bounce. Snapcaster, Click, Skydiver, Venser, Glenelenge Archmage. So this is a pretty tough position, actually. No, I think I am going to take the Mind Twist. I think the deck actually does need a little bit more disruption. So that was a tough pick, but this is what we ended up with, and the deck's going to be heavy on mana. This is kind of the problem I was talking about in the draft, and when I do automatically take like every Mox, sometimes taking these dual lands comes back to hurt you, and even taking like a weak blue card would have been better than taking like the Taiga early in the draft. So yeah, I think that's something I need to work on a little bit. So yeah, this deck, it's going to be a little bit weak. It's going to flood out sometimes. It doesn't have a ton of card draw either, actually, but it has the capability of explosive starts, and if it's able to get Lelia, Ragavan are going to be important cards. And yeah, we'll see how the Mind Twist works out. Not sure if that was the best pick. We're hard casting this Inkwell Leviathan, which is kind of not optimal, but that's where we're at. Here we are for round 1. So mulliganing is really important in this format, actually. I'm going to keep this hand. It's a little bit weak. It does not have a threat, but my deck doesn't get to mulligan too aggressively. Some decks really do, especially if you have Ancestral Recall. You just want to mulligan pretty often. If you have just an average hand without Ancestral Recall, you can just mulligan and get another average hand with Ancestral Recall, and that's just better. That's 6 cards plus the 2 you get from Ancestral, so that's a 8-card average hand. So you really want to mulligan a lot in this format in general. So I might regret keeping this hand. It has the 9-drop, which is really slow, and this hand is very reactive, just with the 2 counter spells. And my opponent is having a great draw. My rule is to play out the Moxen and the Black Lotus right away, just because your opponents are going to fire off Time Twister pretty often. But I don't play out my Mana Crypt, usually. I think I'm going to Spell Pierce that. I might not get another chance to use the Spell Pierce. So this Mentor is definitely a problem. There's really not that much I can do about it. We'll see. Maybe they might play some cards pre-combat here, and then I can bounce the Mentor and then counter it when it comes back down again. But yeah, it's going to be a little bit tough to beat this Mentor. I do like Mentor as a threat. I think it's a decent reason to play white. I think I need to remove the Mentor to win the game. So it's going to be really hard for me to win this game. Taking Mana Crypt damage is definitely a real thing as well. I'm going to wait on the Brainstorm. I just don't want to take more damage. Definitely a really strong chance my opponent has Mentor plus Counterspell here. Okay, they just have Oko. Gonna have to counter that too. So this is a pretty strong looking Bant aggressive deck. And I'm pretty much drawing dead here. My deck is not good at coming back from being behind. I could draw maybe Laelia. That's one of my good draws. I need to hit something good off of my opponent's deck with this Ragavan. I think I'm just going to try to hit like a removal spell for Oko off the top of my opponent's deck. I really don't have a lot of outs here. Fencer, that's awkward. So now I do wish I attacked with my Venser. But I'll play this one out. Yeah, I think I'm just going to die a little bit too quickly to the Elks plus the Mentor tokens. My opponent will have Shelldock next turn. It will be active. This is kind of showing off what Repeal can do. It's just a decent like filler card. My opponent is not playing out their Mentor, which is kind of surprising. But yeah, now they just have plenty of blockers for Ragavan. Yeah, I'm just going to concede. There's really not any way I can win this game. And we also have no sideboard, so let's go. This hand has no blue mana. It has kind of a fast Mind Twist, but yeah, we're going to have to mulligan. Turn 1 Mind Twist for 2. Then maybe we draw mana to play Lodestone Golem. I think it's a little bit too weak. Okay, this is what we're looking for. Turn 1 Ragavan, turn 2 Time Walk, and Repeal. This is a really nice hand. Opponent did keep 7, so we're hoping that they just play some mana out on turn 1. Hoping that they don't have removal or turn 1 Planeswalker, turn 1 Mentor. Okay, they do have swords, so that's going to set us way behind. We really did need that threat. So now I think I just fire off the Time Walk. The Time Walk's not really getting any better, is the thing. So when that's the case, I'll be happy to just play the Time Walk out, and now I can put down Narset. Opponent is tanking, so yeah, they did have the Force of Will, but that's okay. We did what we could, try to keep them off of their card draw spells, basically. Mana Crypt. Glen. So Glen is not doing a ton for them. Let me think of what counter spells I saw. I saw them have actual counter spell, and that's it. Just trying to decide if I should play my click now or play it on their turn. I think playing it on their turn is fair enough. They just only have 1 blue mana. They don't have 2. So that's going to be the play here. And we're setting up to the point where maybe I could strip mine their island and possibly get an advantage that way, but we're in a pretty closely matched game here. So this will be bad if they have Mana Leak or something like that, but okay. They also drew their Ancestral, so now we are definitely behind by quite a bit. I'm not sure if I saw Tundra in their deck. I'm not sure if they have another blue mana. I think I just take the Muldrifter and hope that they can't use the Jace. They might have Breeding Pool as well with the Windswept Heath. Pretty interesting. I guess I do just have to take the Jace. It's just too good, and I'm not going to be able to stop it with what I'm doing with my hand. So they're going to get plenty of card advantage. So I will need to have some good draws if I want to come back from this. Okay, so yeah, they're going to play their creatures to the board. I guess I'm going to force the trade here. Yeah, if they want to take the damage, I'm really happy with that. And now I can trade my Glen for their Soulfire Grandmaster. If I can get any damage in, it's going to be advantageous. I'm trying to win off of Mana Crypt damage plus my little creatures this game. They do have the Time Walk plus Soulfire Grandmaster combo in their deck, so they're going to need 6 mana to do that. They're pretty far away from that. Windswept Heath. Okay, they do have Tundra. Now they're attacking with both. But yeah, I need to get the Lifelinker off of the battlefield. Brazen Borrower. That's not going to do much for me. I'm mostly just going to cast it as a flyer. So same thing here. I'm going to just force the trade with my click. And then I have to decide if I'm going to strip mine here. I think I'm not. Yeah, using the strip mine is just not going to do much here. I could take them off green. Actually, yeah, I cannot because they have Savannah in their hand still. I can take them off double blue, but I'm not sure if that's really going to really do much. Now they have triple blue. So yeah, I'm just going to save the strip mine. I need the mana myself, and I can save it for Shelldock Island. Shelldock Isle. So yeah, it also allows me to play Borrower and hold up my counterspell here. They've got 3 cards in hand. One is Savannah. So now I can cycle this Repeal if I want. No, I can't bounce this Mana Crypt to my opponent's hand. If they would definitely allow me to do that. if they had the option. It's currently damaging them, and so I really need that. Okay, gonna play out the Mox, and then I will use the repeal end of my opponent's turn if I have nothing better to do. Spencer. They bounce Glenelendra. Interesting. So I guess they have a counterspell? They have a ton of mana. Karn. Okay, that's why they bounced it. That makes sense. Okay. Exile a card from my hand. What can I do against Karn? They're probably just going to counter this, and then that's going to force me to exile the Glen, but I think that's fine. The Glen is not really good in my hand. Do need to draw some action here. Mind Twist, yeah, and I can't even use it. Okay, so I'm pretty dead now. Yeah, my opponent can exile their Mana Crypt if they really choose to. So they're not in that much danger. Okay, yeah, I don't think I can come back from this game, so good games to the opponent. Their deck was definitely much better. Let's see if we can do any better in the next round. Here we are for round 2. We're on the draw. This hand's a little sketchy. I think I can just do better. I need a couple things to go right with this hand. I need to draw some mana and then resolve my Narset to get rid of this Inkwell Leviathan. It's really awkward having Leviathan in your opening hand. This hand is also awkward, but I'm going to keep, and I'll just bottom the Sphinx. So we're both on 6. My hand is not great. I don't have anything to do on turn 1. I might not even have anything turn 2. So we're going to have to hope our opponent does also not have a great start. Looks like they have a slow start, just like us. They didn't play a Signet. Usually they'll play a Signet or something on turn 2, so I would say a high chance that they have Mana Leak or Miscalculation, something like that. I'll play the Lodestone Golem down first. It's surprising they don't have a 2-mana counterspell. They don't have a Swords to Plowshares. They might have just been waiting for double blue. Okay, to Fairy. To then bounce my Golem. Okay, but now I'm in the position to Mind Twist them. Only for 3. Mind Twist is going to get worse once I have Lodestone Golem in play. So I don't have a great play here. I think just putting down Golem again is the best. I might just not be able to use the Mind Twist this game. So if they minus Karn here, no, they're going to plus. Okay. Interesting. I'll give them Time Twister, and then I'll just resolve my Narset. Okay, I'll put Lotus down. Now I have Counterspell up, and now I get to attack whatever I want. I have Time Twister in hand. Okay, I'll take out the Teferi, and now I have Counterspell up. And they can get Brainstorm with Karn, but it's not going to do much. I'll give them Mox. This is actually kind of close. I'll give them Ruby. I think they're kind of equally likely to have red or black mana in the deck. Eventually, they might use this Karn -2, and then I can Thieving Skydiver. Looks like they have a 6-drop. This Lotus is going to be really good with Mind Twist if somehow I can resolve it. Ponder, okay. Look at the top 3 cards, and then they do not get to draw a card. Okay, so this will allow them to steal something of mine. Not sure if I care about this. I guess it's good enough to counter. I do want to use my mana. I don't want to be stuck having to bounce back my Mox Sapphire or whatever. Okay, now they have 3 cards in hand. If I can hit Time Walk, it's going to be really good here. So I need 5 mana to Mind Twist their whole hand, which I can do. Then I guess Thirst for Discovery is probably the best card. But yeah, I'm just going to be Mind Twisting their hand. Then they're going to have to... They're going to have to draw really well to get out of this. I would say they're probably pretty dead at this point. Usually the way to come back from their position is to draw a Time Twister or something like that. But that's not going to work when I have Narset in play. So, okay, we got that game. This is an easy mulligan. This hand is pretty slow and pretty weak, but I think I'm going to keep. Going to 5 is pretty rough for this deck. I don't have Ancestral Recall to dig me back out of it, so I can just hope that my opponent has another weak draw as well, and then I'll put back the Lodestone Golem. Yeah, pretty slow hand. And this is why being proactive is so good. Okay, Skydiver will be good against this Chrome Mox. Even Repeal is good against Chrome Mox and Mox Diamond. Okay, they exiled their own Thieving Skydiver, and they have Narset, so that's pretty strong. It looks like they missed on the activation. Okay, Moxjet was an amazing draw. Now I can resolve the Skydiver. I was going to play down one of my creatures anyways this turn just to start attacking down that Narset, but now I get to kick the Skydiver and take their mana, so that was amazing. Oh, wow. Okay, well, they did have the Time Twister, so yeah, I'm in huge trouble now. Yeah, Narset Time Twister is basically one of the best things you can do in this cube. I pretty much don't ever pass either of those cards. I'm not going to concede, but I would say I don't really have much chance of winning. There's Urza. That's fine. I'll be bouncing that Construct token here. Now they're going to play Teferi. And they can bounce their Chrome Mox back to their hand, which isn't the most amazing thing. Interesting that they play it out. Okay, right. So they have Urza to turn it into a Mox Sapphire, so that's pretty strong. And now they have Jace, which can flash back the Time Twister, but that's not going to do a ton at this point. Okay, Laelia was a great draw. So I'll attack. I'll take down the Teferi. And then I'll attack both of these at my opponent. Laelia brings us a Brainstorm. Okay, I'll cast that. We're mounting a very weak comeback. They have Urza that's going to start getting them some card advantage. But they're going to need to do something against this Laelia. Okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to put back Emerald and then Ponder, and then I'm just going to play out my Mox. There's a chance that they Time Twister, so I need to get my cards onto the board. Okay, it looks like they are just looting with Jace. They're not going to flip Jace. And now I see that they have Force of Negation. That's good to know about. Okay, are they going to start using Urza, or do they have some more action? Okay, they are going to use Urza, and they flip Snapcaster, which is definitely decent. But the Time Twister is really not going to be amazing. So yeah, it looks like they're not going to go for the Time Twister. They don't want to give me 7 more cards. Palace Jailer, okay. That's going to take my flyer, I suppose. No, they just take the Laelia. Interesting. So I guess we're just going to be trading Monarch back and forth. Okay, they have Counterspell. 2 cards left. So yeah, still pretty far behind. I'm gonna get my Laelia back here, though. And do 2 damage, and we'll get to draw a card. Mox Emerald. That's right, okay. I knew that that was on top. I did not get to shuffle with Ponder. They do have Saga, so Urza's Saga is really good in their deck. Now they're going to get to flip Jace. And maybe just -2 the Skydiver. -2 power on it. No. Not sure if that's going to do much. Are they going to get back Monarch? They're going to attempt to get back the Monarch. I will allow them to do that. They do have Mana Crypt in play and currently don't have a way to get rid of it. Okay, they have Karn plus Saga, so that's going to kill me pretty fast. Interesting. I think I want to leave Lelia back because there's nothing great that it can hit for me this turn. I want to use my mana on Glenelendra Archmage this turn. What can I draw? I do not have black instants in my deck. I just want to tap like this. Another counterspell? No, they have Memory Deluge. I think there's a small chance I can win this if they lose all of their Mana Crypt flips. But these construct tokens are just going to kill me so fast. Okay, they lost that flip. And I do have two powers with... Sorry, I have two flyers with 2 power. Wow, these constructs are getting so big. I'm probably just taking all the damage this turn. And then I'm just trying to hit Time Walk off Lelia. Because if I do that, I can win. And I can also just win by attacking them for 2. So yeah, I don't really see a point to blocking here. If they have Time Walk or Time Warp, they're going to win. Although I have the counter spell. I have the Glenelendra to counter it, so let's see. Do they have something that they can force me to counter? I don't think so. Just hoping that they don't have a flyer or a removal spell. Can't remember if I saw Time Walk from their deck yet. Yorion, so I can bounce all of their things. They can get Snapcaster, Brainstorm. It's not going to do that much, though. They can exile their Karn to get some more loyalty on it. They can exile the Urza to get another construct, but yeah. Okay, well, Yorion does have flying, so that is a problem. And yeah, I don't have a great way to remove it. Yeah, my deck is really missing I have Brazen Borrower. That is a thing that we can draw. I haven't seen a Yorion deck yet. I guess it's decent. Palace Jailer is good against my creature-based strategy, so I like my opponent's deck. They've got the Urza plus Urza Saga thing going. Okay, well, there's not really much for me to do here but attack with Lelia and Glenelendra Archmage. I'm trying to hit... I think I just have one removal spell that I can hit with Lelia. Hit Narset. Okay. Not sure if there's a way we can win with Narset. Okay, we're 1-1. Another hand with Inkwell Leviathan in hand. And another hand that kind of shows why Black Lotus is not great in our deck. I'm going to keep, though. Yeah, I think this is good enough. I can brainstorm away the Leviathan. So Leviathan goes away. Lodestone Golem goes away. I think I like the flyers better. Steam Vents. In one click, we can take away their Ancestral Recall or maybe something that's important. Let's see. The obvious card to take away is the Sol Ring. So let's not think about it too much. Let's just take the Sol Ring. I need to decide if I need to use this Time Walk or if I want to wait maybe for them to have Narset in play or something like that. I think they have 2 or 3 counterspells in their deck. Romox, let's see if they take away the Fractured Identity. No, they drew into Yorion. So having Spell Pierce up, I like that. I think I should get to use the Spell Pierce here. So I'll just wait on the Time Walk. I should get the option to use it later for kind of the same exact effect. Okay, it looks like they're holding up a counterspell now. So now we don't really have the ability to use the Time Walk. I have to just keep passing. Brainstorm, that's fine. So basically I'm preserving this Time Walk. I might want to wait to use it for when I have one more creature in play. But it looks like my opponent drew into some interaction, but they don't have all day to wait. They are dying fairly quickly here, but I really can't play Time Walk into this open mana. I need to at least wait until I have Spell Pierce. But they will be able to use Narset here. Okay, they have Urza. Now they still have 2 blue up. But Urza's just not stopping the click. There's Thoughtseize. So yeah, we can start by Thoughtseizing. feel like they must have a counterspell or something. Yeah, they had Spell Pierce. So now I know 2 cards that are in their hand. One of them is Fractured Identity. I think I just want to Spell Pierce this. And then just take their Fractured Identity. This lets me use my mana, and I get to see the last card in their hand. I know 2 of the cards. Yeah, one's an island, so yeah. If I waited, they would have been able to pay, so I need to take the identity. And now they have no way to deal with this click. So we just hope that this holds. My draws have been pretty bad, drawing a 6-drop and a 9-drop, but this deck is pretty bad, so can't complain too much. Karn was an okay draw, but I don't know if they're going to be able to get their clock fast enough. Let's see. They can attack me for 5 here. I'm at 10. Wow, so I am actually kind of dead, but I need to draw a land here or something. Okay, we drew the land. So what is the play? I can attack my opponent, put them down to 2, and then I can play Venser, bounce a construct, and then I will survive for another turn. I feel like I just do that. Just force them to find their time walk. Or maybe Palace Jailer will do it for them, but it's not going to be easy for them to find Palace Jailer. They do have this Narset -2 that they can use, but I need to attack my opponent. I'm going to force them to find the answer this turn. Miscalculation. Yeah, Karn's not going to do anything here. Put Seachrome Coast into their hand. Yeah, I think they might have missed. Cycle the miscalc. They still have a Urza activation. Okay, they found Teferi. That is going to buy them another turn. And they can attack for 3 here. And they do get to Time Twister next turn if they want to. So yeah, they're definitely back in the game. Wow, okay, we drew a haste creature. They have Seachrome Coast. Yeah, I have to play this. I have to just go for the win here. Nice. Here we are for the last round. We're 1-1 with this somewhat awkward deck. Another Inkwell hand, and we don't have the Brainstorm to bail us out. I think we have to keep. We have a Mox and we have a piece of action with the Archmage. So it looks like our opponent kept a hand of 7. I'm going to play the Time Walk here. just give us the chance to draw Laelia, or even Ragavan would be good. It's a small chance, but like that's the stuff that can really help us win this game. Okay, we draw Flooded Strand. I'll take that. Now if we draw Brainstorm, it's going to be really good. Going to want to try to hold off on this Strand if I can. But there's a chance I just have to use it next turn. Skull Clamp. Wow, I really wonder if they're going to be able to use that. I'm just going to Spell Pierce. I want to make their constructs smaller. I'm really not sure if this Skull Clamp is worth countering, but... Okay, Repeal is going to be good later on against the construct. And I could have got black mana there, but decided not to. Having double blue is important as well. If I draw Mind Twist, that will come back to hurt me, but we'll see. They're going to need a Mox here or something if they want to activate this Urza Saga. Dismember. Okay, that's not the worst thing that could happen. I can even repeal my own Archmage at some point if I feel like it. They have a Forest in their deck. Okay, there's the Black Lotus. Okay, so that was pretty good. Now it's just me and my opponent with one card in hand against one card in hand. And Laelia was an awesome draw. My opponent's going to lose the Saga next turn, but fetch out maybe a Soul Ring or a Mox. Okay, now we get rid of the Mind Twist. That's good. I don't want to draw that card. Mana Vault. So if they have a big colorless thing, that might be good. Now I have Snapcaster Time Walk. So I'm feeling pretty good about the situation. Draw a Counterspell, so that's not going to do much. But if they have nothing, I have Lethal here, so we're just going to go for the Time Walk. I'm not sure what my opponent's playing. It looks like they might be playing Reanimator because of the Collective Brutality, but their basics are throwing me off. Lots of mountains, lots of forests. I guess they're playing the... The mana denial strategy that I talked about before. Okay, I probably should have brainstormed before the Laelia. I would say that was a mistake. Okay, yeah, I don't have lethal. Actually, I was miscounting. But still in a good position anyways, and I'll just bounce the Mana Vault to take them off of 1 mana this turn. They need something pretty great to get back in the game. Now this is a great hand. Definitely keeping, and we might have to play a little bit differently against my opponent's deck. I expect them to have some artifact removal. I can time walk into click. I kind of like that. I think it's a little greedy to wait on the time walk. My hand's already great. I don't want to just like wait on the time walk and then my opponent might do something really broken on their turn, like cast a Wheel of Fortune or something. So I'm just going to draw step, click them, and then I can make my game plan for the rest of the game. Okay, they have some ramp creatures. Wow, they're just playing Jund. So, okay, Collective Brutality looks good here again. Damnation also looks good. I'm gonna take the Damnation. I don't want them to be able to answer my Laelia. Laelia is going to be really great in this matchup. Roxa. I'll discard the Ponder. So maybe if they use Collective Brutality later, it will not have a target. And now I'll just get the Laelia down. And this is a really fast clock. I have not played against Jund Control yet. I wonder if it's any good. If they answer all of my threats, I could see myself having trouble closing the game out. Yeah, they actually might have a pretty decent matchup against my deck, but I feel like with this hand, we should be okay. We'll see if they drew into removal for the Laelia. That's obviously going to be the most important thing for this game. They're able to escape the Kroxa, it will be decent, although I have Venser to bounce it, but I feel like they probably won't be able to get as many. I feel like they won't be able to get enough cards in the graveyard. Collective, no, okay. Secure Tribe Elder. Interesting. I'm definitely going to hold up Venser. My opponent has shuffled twice now, so there's a chance that they draw back into Damnation. Let's see, they're going to go to 10 here. And then next turn, I will be attacking for 10 with my Venser. So I might even want to put the Skydiver into play. I don't think there's any downside to doing this. Mana Vault. Looks like they did draw into something big. Okay, now I just Venser this to seal the game up. So I think this matchup is a good example of how if your deck's not blue-based, you're second tier. But okay, well, hopefully you enjoyed this interesting format, and thank you for watching.